when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Mr. Jared Dubois, live on a Sunday evening, counter-programming Major League Soccer playoffs because that's what we do. That's just what we do.
Who's watching that?
Montreal and Orlando. Come
East Coast
on.
problems. East Coast
Who
problems.
cares about them? No, actually, I think Montreal's pretty good. I think that game is still 0-0. It's not that we're going to give you check-ins. I know we're doing it live, and there will be live call-ins, and people will be watching live. But obviously, lots of people listen back after the fact, and they're going to be like, oh, we already know. We don't need to hear from you about that game. We can talk about the games that already happened. And I was thinking about this just as we were hitting the button, Jared.
Yes.
This is so very much our show and our dynamic that you,
Yes.
Mr. Jared Dubois,
That's
an OG back in 1996, Jared was
Say it to the people in the back of the room.
there to support his hometown or home area, I suppose,
Yeah, there's
Los
no hometown.
Angeles Galaxy. And you're wearing what year was that? What year is that shirt right now?
This is 2003, I believe. I think that's 2003. They only got one star at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pre-color changes because Beckham showed up and they went Real Madrid. So I was thinking about you're here to celebrate your team's MLS Cup playoff victory. You're repping your jersey from 2003. Meanwhile, I'm over here wearing a shirt for a team that doesn't actually exist that I got for free.
That's very, very much in line with how we operate, you and I.
Yeah. That's us here on a Sunday night.
Asbury Park Football Club till you die.
Yeah, well, but shout out to Sean Francis, who is like
for sure.
the man. We all know that. But I I didn't even think about it when I put it on. Like I just put this on. I just put on this shirt and then like, oh yeah,
Here I am living in the past. You
well, that
know?
too. Here I'm living in a fantasy world. You know, that's what we do. We have lots to talk about. Obviously, Major League Soccer's playoffs will probably come up. Somebody has already asked, how stupid is Rubio Rubin? On a scale of 1 to 10, that's like a 12. Like, how the hell do you make that decision, Jared?
It's a horrible tackle that is no play. He was okay. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Rubio Rubin, ball goes through over the top for him. It gets to the keeper. He's not going to get there. It's not even close, really. And he does a really stupid sliding challenge on the goalkeeper when he's already on a yellow. That makes it even stupider to make that choice. It's not like it was a straight red. The dude's already been cautioned. Anything reckless at this point is going to be seen by the referee as an extension of that. And he just flat out takes out the keeper for Austin.
Leaves a trailing leg, and Stuver goes down, and Stuver rightly is like, what the hell, man? There was no way you were getting there.
No.
And Rubin gets sent off, and it puts RSL down. And give RSL tons of credit, because they keep fighting, they keep scrapping.
Yeah.
They don't have any quit in them. It's the thing that marks a Pablo Mastroeni team, which is why he got the job. But, man, and the thing about Rubin, remember last year he kind of had his little moment in the sun. He had the overhead kick goal. He got some love. I think he scored 8 last year, which is not it's not a crazy number, but it's pretty decent considering where his career had been before he landed in RS. And we were talking about like, oh, wasn't Bobby Wood supposed to be their savior? And here's Rubio Rubin.
From Feyenoord or PSV. I remember he was playing in the
Something like that.
Something like that. Fell out of favor. Was about maybe even stop playing altogether before RSL gave him a try.
Yeah. One of those guys who does have, and I think he ended up, because of that run with RSL last year, playing for, I don't want to get this wrong. It's either Guatemala or El Salvador. Somebody will tell me. I think it's one of those two. But he had his moment, and then this year, do you know how many goals he scored in the regular season this year, Jared?
Oh, I would say 4.
He scored 1 goal. Do you know when he scored it? Do you know when he scored it?
Tonight?
No, on decision day. He scored his one regular season goal on decision day. The only goal he scored this year. So, and he just wasn't getting it done. I don't know if something happened in training and he lost his job or just probably decided to go in another direction. Obviously, they did have, a couple of different forward options.
Yeah.
And then you get your chance in the playoffs after helping your team make the playoffs on decision day by beating Portland. And you do that. Doesn't make any damn sense.
You gotta wonder if he's got a future with them after this. I mean, I don't know what kind of contract he signed with them, but like that's how do you go back in the locker room and look all your teammates in the eyes and let them know? Like, and how does he look me and Jason Davis in the eye, knowing he busted our brackets,
Wrecked our brackets.
You are perfect through that point.
The hell, man! Actually, I wasn't. I picked the Red Bulls to beat my man Nick's team down there.
Nick and I were perfect through that.
Should we just get this out of the way?
I think.
Should we just get this out of the way? Should we let the man come here and gloat for just a minute? Should we do it? Let's do it. Mr. Soup and Sausage, please make your appearance.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
There he is.
Happy
Nicholas
sausage.
Soup and Salad. Nicholas Sushi and what, meatballs? I don't know what else. Okay, man. Like, tell us how you're feeling right now.
Feeling fantastic. Playing with house money now at this point. You know, they won a playoff game.
You ready for that Philly trip? Because, woo, let's do it. Let's go.
I'm going to say
Let's
yeah.
see.
I'm going to say
Yeah?
yeah. We played them 1-1 earlier this year.
Is
and
there
we beat
any
them at
coaching
home.
staff anywhere in MLS that's more prepared for a Philly matchup than the one that they stole from Philly themselves?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Noonan and
storylines
Albright,
are there.
Noonan and Albright, they know what they're doing when they go back there. I'm really, really excited. I think outside of El Tráfico, that's the one I'm most interested in. So I think you and I, Nick, have some of the most premier matchups the next round that everyone will be watching, despite whatever happens in the Montreal game today or anything like that.
No, I do. If I feel like, I mean, it's going to block Nick on the video, which is fine. This trash talk. I'm all here for I'm here for trash talk. Since you'll be shaking like a bleeping dog come Thursday, you punks are going to have dupe all over your faces. That sounds. That's.
Oh God,
that's brutal, man.
Okay.
Also, I think
we should start calling dog poop dupe.
Should we?
That should just be the thing we call it's a combination.
My dog duped over there. I gotta go pick it up. Please.
I expected some dupe on the way to school.
Clean up your dog's dupe. Nick, you need to clarify what that hat is too. For anybody who doesn't know, Nick's wearing an M hat. What is that hat?
It's my high school, Moeller High School.
It's not Michigan. I knew it was not Michigan. It's not.
So you know how? And the thing is, where I live, everybody here goes, "Take that hat off." I'm like, no. You guys have to understand, it is not a Michigan hat. It is a Moeller hat. But yes.
Okay.
Pretty close though, right?
The M is similar. The giveaway.
shield
The difference is the shield. There's no shield around the Michigan stuff. So anyway,
yeah. All right. So,
but I will say
Nick,
this: like, look, you could say, "Oh, you want Philly fans?" I don't care. You're supposed to win. You're supposed to win. So, you know what? You didn't take any. Well, you took 2 points off us this year. A draw at your place, and we kicked your ass in Cincinnati. So
that was the win, right?
Game.
That was the one everybody went like, "Oh, Cincinnati arrived." They crushed Philly at home in front of the home crowd. Yeah. So, yeah.
So
gotta go do it.
If Philly's going to have a chance this coming week, what are the things that they have to do right? What is it that do they do anything different than they did against Red Bulls, or is that the same style of play? Like, what do you have to do potentially different, or there is nothing that you have to do? Just execute.
Yeah, I would say nothing really different. I mean, that's
can you play on the front foot the way you did against Red Bulls against this Philly team? Can you take that chance of going as hard?
I don't think they have another way of playing. I don't think they have another way of playing. And I will say that the difference between Philly and New York is that Philly can score goals
for sure
with their front four, which New York cannot really do. So that's that's why they're going to be significant underdogs.
That's no way that's a 0-0 draw, right? There's
no way.
No way.
Not a chance.
Over under on how many goals you think?
I mean, Philly's defense is incredible, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's historically good. They had 3 defenders who could have been defender of the year, legitimately candidates for it. They can only nominate 2, which is why Glesnes and Wagner were the 2. Jack Elliott was awesome all year long too. So but then again, Cincinnati has that attack, and they can obviously create chances. So
they scored 3 against them earlier this year.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this is going to be a battle, but I think there will be goals. I think so.
One thing that this weekend's results has given us already is that 2 of our potential starting center backs are already out for the season. They're done. 30 games. The next month, 35 days or something like that. No playing time.
They're like Jared's cut off. So you got to put them in the closet for fall when you get out the cardigan, right? Those guys are going on the shelf for a while. And moths, you got to get the mothballs out and make sure the moths aren't there.
No, you let the moths eat the cut. You want the moths to eat the cutoffs. Makes them nice and haggard. You want those.
You want that rough and ready look. Yeah,
but honestly, Zimmerman and Long, 30 days on ice. 30 days on ice coming up. Do you think Berhalter does something to get these guys to try to get them into
There's a camp.
Okay.
They're going to hold a camp. That's already been announced. They're going to hold an MLS player camp, before the World Cup, which should, at least have them fit. I don't think it's going to have them sharp, right? They're not going to be at the
Some
same.
would argue that Long isn't sharp anyway.
Sure. So I don't know that. Look, okay. What happened with Aaron Long in that game against Cincy doesn't fundamentally change my opinion on Aaron Long because I don't want Aaron Long in my starting lineup. Now, the problem with that, Jared, and everything is connected, right? This is not, you can't be like, well, Aaron Long shouldn't start, and that's it, and stop there. You have to talk about who should start. Who should start in place of Aaron Long for the U.S. men's national team, Jared? Who's your opinion?
It should be Chris Richards, but here's the thing. The dude didn't even make the game day squad this weekend.
Didn't even get on the bench for Crystal Palace. So
we don't know. Is there a knock? Like, we knew he was coming back for some injury. He had just been back on the team sheet. Don't know what's going on with Chris Richards, but I mean, this is a slippery slope right here. Like, we may be talking like Mark McKenzie starting for the U.S. national team. I don't know.
So Lefty is pointing out this is Camp Cupcake November edition, which means we have to come up with a new name before it. We had Camp Candy Cane or whatever.
Pumpkin Spice Cupcake.
Camp Pumpkin Spice. Is that? Can you just Camp Pumpkin? Camp.
It's after Halloween, so he's like it's hard to use pumpkin because it's after Halloween.
No, but it's still part of the fall. Or whatever that is. I don't know what that word is.
Yeah.
I went to a fall
Gourd.
festival today. I went to a pumpkin patch today, Jared. I enjoyed it. I don't.
Wait, is it one of those newfangled pumpkin patches where it's like there's carnival rides and stuff like that? It can't just be a pumpkin patch anymore.
No. Well, okay, it's a pumpkin patch with like a pony ride, and then they have
that's
like
agrarian. That makes sense.
Then they have like the pirate ship made of wood the kids can climb in, right? And
There's a freaking pirate ship made of wood.
Like it not like a ship, but like it kind of resembles a pirate ship, but it's just a place for kids to crawl up and slide down.
Oh, it's plywood that looks like a pirate ship.
It's not plywood. Yeah, sure, exactly, sure, yeah. And a train, the train that's not really a train. It's made out of wood. It's just for the kids to. Camp Cornucopia. How do you feel about that one? That's not bad.
That's pretty nice.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, and it's got alliteration, which we need the alliteration.
This is still out there. John Brooks played yesterday
in a cup match against a fourth division team.
Yeah, fourth division team.
Now, Tim
I
Ream,
saw one highlight of one fantastic crossing of the ball, and Mary was like, "Brooks is back."
Tim Ream played again for Fulham, and if you're ready to talk about somebody that maybe has a shout,
I mean, that's
based on sharpness,
emergency, right? Okay, right now, here's your pick your poison. You ready? I got to pick your poison for you.
Okay, hold on, man. It's been a while. I got to find the button. I don't even know where that thing is. There it is.
Who is your Jason Davis break glass in case of emergency center back? John Brooks, who was the guy for a long time, but has been in limbo, even at a club situation in limbo.
Right.
Or Tim Ream, a starting Premiership center back.
I'm going Tim Ream. I think it's Tim Ream. Now, I think
that's who Berhalter would pick.
No, you said Jason Davis.
Okay, just want to make sure. Clarifying
Tim
for the
Ream
audience.
is my choice for a couple of reasons. I'm not saying Tim Ream is a better player than John Brooks. If you just took them, put them in a vacuum, I don't know why you would do that. Put them in a vacuum. I don't think Tim Ream's a better player, but he has been playing consistently at a high level, whereas Brooks has not. We know, I know there's this weird thing with Tim Ream, right? Like, in absence from the national team, his reputation has gone up, which is fascinating because there was a time when nobody wanted Tim Ream anywhere near this team, Jared. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay?
I was one of them. This guy right here.
He's too slow.
Yep.
He's prone to mistakes at the back.
Yep.
Now, he's better with the ball at his feet
Hair's
than
too
almost
long.
anybody else in the pool. Is there a better, outside of maybe John Brooks, is there a better player with the ball at his feet than Tim Ream? Outside of John
Maybe
Brooks?
Miles Robinson as well. I think he's pretty even with Miles Robinson, to be honest with you. I mean, he's up there. To your point, he's in that top tier of ball at the feet.
Yes, he's for the U.S. men's national team. Okay,
Yeah.
just for our guys in our pool, he's in the elite level. I'm not saying it's a perfect fit, right? I prefer the United States.
Glass. We're talking break glass.
I know.
That's the scenario here.
Well,
and I agree with you. I think it is the break glass. Option.
But this is the context of this the question is that we don't think Berhalter's break glass question is Brooks or Ream. We think Greg Berhalter's going to go Eric Palmer Brown or Mark McKenzie, right? Oh, I don't think Miazga's anywhere near it.
Making a joke about it.
Okay.
But here's the other reason why I would take Tim Ream in that scenario that we just played out. The ability to shift to left back or play left back in a three-man back line. Those are areas where Tim Ream, we are thin at left back. I'm not saying that he's fast enough on the world stage to play left back.
No, he's a stay-at-home left back who you don't want to leave on an island.
If you're playing a three-man back line, Tim Ream on that outside of that three-man back line makes sense.
Yeah. Look, there are some positions on the field, I think, where form is of greater importance. Like sharpness is of greater importance, and I tend to lean towards a player who's playing well with his club team. I don't think that's the everything. I don't think that's the thing that decides whether they should be in the team completely by itself, but I think it matters in some cases. When we're talking about center backs, how much does that matter, Jared? I'm asking you because, look, Walker Zimmerman's going to be on the, again, on the shelf for a month and maybe hasn't even been playing all that great to begin with.
Yeah.
Before getting eliminated by your LA Galaxy. We know Aaron Long's going to go on the shelf. He wasn't playing all that great recently, but he was playing. Meanwhile, Chris Richards not getting any playing time. You got a couple of guys you got a guy in France and a guy in Belgium. You got a guy in Scotland getting a lot of minutes in Cameron Carter-Vickers, right?
Yep.
And then you get to okay, how important is it that Walker Zimmerman hasn't been good and hasn't been sharp and won't play for the next month? When you think about, because somebody said maybe Tim Ream should start over Walker Zimmerman. I don't think they're not on the right. They don't play the right side. But do you think that Tim Ream has a better shout to start for the national team than Walker Zimmerman on those factors?
The case could be made, but at the end of the day, Greg Berhalter is a creature of habit and comfort, and Walker Zimmerman is a habit for him, and it gives him comfort. So I don't think there's any chance. If I was going to put $10,000 on a center back starting, I'd put it on Walker Zimmerman out of everyone we just mentioned.
Right.
That's how solid of a pick he is in terms of competition against him and what the likelihood is of any of them actually starting over him.
To be fair to Walker, he was pretty good for a long time, right?
Agreed.
So the question is, how much does a little bit of a lesser run of form, not playing super great soccer, and then being out of action for a month because you're out of the playoffs, how much does that drop you in estimation as opposed to somebody who is, not playing?
Hey, Josh
and
has a point. We talked about a player that we haven't ever mentioned.
I know.
For some reason, you said a guy's name, but the
I
guy
got the
we're
guy's
talking
name
about
wrong.
is Kamika.
Kamika, who's playing up there in Scotland. Let's go to Frank in the OC. It's been a little while for Frank. Frank, first of all, man, how's that relationship going?
Dude, I'm telling you, relationships are hard, man. I don't know what to say about it.
That's true.
Trust me, man. I've watched Brooks and Berhalter from a distance, and I always wonder who has it worse, Frank and OC or those two.
All right, well, Frank, go ahead.
I got it bad.
You got it bad.
So here's the thing. I do remember back in 2010, Bob Bradley brought in a big squad before the 23 final roster came out, and Jurgen Klinsmann did the same thing. And the one thing that I noticed from both those camps is that players were not playing together; they were playing against each other in terms of position, And when I saw that game against Saudi Arabia and Japan, that flashback came back to me because those were players that, okay, maybe not like the Pulisic, but those were players not playing together. Those were players playing against each other for a spot in the World Cup. Mm-hmm. So I know this may not happen, but I think, well, I don't know about what you guys think, but what do you think of the idea of just calling your 26-man roster and let those players gel? Sorry. And let those players gel together? Because I don't know how I feel about getting a camp and having positional players not even want to talk to each other just because, again, they're battling for World Cup.
Okay, so you're questioning the idea of competition in camp and whether or not that could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. First of all, let's just point out, and Frank is talking about 2010, and he mentioned 2014. I don't remember exactly what Klinsmann did. I did look up to see what Bradley did in 2010 because I didn't remember myself. But in May, he announced a 30-man roster, the preliminary roster. He announced who would contend for those spots. I'm not sure. He doesn't mention here a camp where they were all 30 together and then 7 guys got cut. But there's no time for that, right? That's not happening in this World Cup. There is no time. They will be called in, and they will fly into Qatar, and they will be together for 1 week. The guys in Europe, anyway. The guys from MLS, like Zimmerman and Long, if we presume that Long's going to be on the roster, they can head over there whenever. They can just make their way to Qatar like 3 weeks ahead of time.
It's good because back in the day, there was just a high propensity of players not playing in Europe. I mean, you could boss MLS around. You could say we're going to take these guys out, and you're even seeing it right now. There's a number of teams already asking for national teams, asking the club teams, say, release my guys a week earlier. Release my guys a week earlier. I don't want to take the chance of them getting hurt or something like that. Their club teams, it's symptomatic of this truncated season with the Winter World Cup that we have in there. Normally, it's not a big deal to get these guys together early. Even the guys who are in Europe are off season. They're off season during the summer break. Well, it's just it's an unfortunate way that this is playing out. Now, rather than playing against each other, the hard part is there's no perfect scenario here. Do you want the guys to go hard in practice? Yeah, you want them to go hard in practice. You want to simulate game atmospheres, but at the same time, you don't want them to get hurt. I don't think there's guys like Gio Reyna out there. He's wearing a jersey that is a no-touch jersey. There's certain guys in camp that you're going to put a penny on them, and you're going to tell them these guys can't be touched in camp. For everyone else, you got to have them go hard. They have to try to simulate the real experience. I
think that's probably right. But I was gonna say, can we play an impromptu game of Rastafari? But I don't think we have time for you to go through all 30 of these guys from 2010, or us to. I have the roster ahead of me, so it would, or in front of me, have to be you and Nick would get skunked. So I don't think.
Nick looks offended.
He always acts like he doesn't know anything. You know the national team from 2010, but you don't know MLS. Is that what I'm to understand, Mr. Super? I'm sorry if I offended you.
I know some guys.
Okay. I guess have we played with
Baby, I'm ready whenever
roster?
you want. I'm ready whenever you want. You know,
let me give Frank a chance to make a point before we move on to this. Frank, you got anything else you want to share?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I think Nick will beat Jared. That's all I got to say.
All right. I'm going 30. I'm going 30 since Frank brought it up. And Nick, you got to show your face on the video. I'm sorry. I'm a little testy tonight. I don't know why. I got the 30-man, because he pointed out that there was a 30-man training camp roster called in. It does say training camp.
Oh, that's what we're trying to name? I thought we were naming the actual 2010 roster. Oh,
no. We're going to do a 30-man roster. We're going to go deeper here. So you have extra, but this means you have extra guys. You're 7 extra guys.
So it is everyone that was on the 26-man roster. Just to be clear, there wasn't European guys that weren't brought in or anything.
Yes, it was hold on. Everybody on the 23-man roster plus 7. Because, yes. Okay. Can you do this? Can we do it? Let's go.
Well, yeah, I'm going to start with the 23, and then I'm going to try to go from there.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Who's going first?
Nick, you want to go first? Since I insulted you? Okay. Yeah. Defend yourself.
Tim Howard.
Tim Howard on the roster, naturally. I don't have the buzzer. How do I not have the buzzer? Well, I only have the dig.
Michael Bradley, because it'd be weird if he wasn't.
Let's see. Michael Bradley. Yeah, okay. So we're going to go through the 23. This is the team that everybody remembers from 2010. Yeah, of course. Go. Yeah.
Landon
Donovan in 2010, of course. Yes. Okay.
Dempsey Chalk.
Just hold on. Let me see. Landon listed as a midfielder. Okay. Dempsey also listed as a midfielder. Okay. That's the difference, the 4-4-2 and the 4-3-3, by the way, because Landon and Dempsey would not be listed as midfielders if that was a 4-3-3 team. Things have shifted.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready for this pool, Jared?
Yeah.
Edson Buttle.
Edson Buttle on the roster. Absolutely. Playing for the Los Angeles Galaxy.
Maybe I should have saved that.
No, I knew he was playing. I
knew he was there. He was a Galaxy
came from
player.
Eintracht Frankfurt or something like that to see, or Energy Cop Bus, right before then. He came back to Galaxy that season. I'm going to go with DeMarcus Beasley.
DeMarcus Beasley. I'm just trying to, again. Okay. Midfielder, Rangers, DeMarcus Beasley.
Mo Adu.
Maurice Adu. Absolutely. Should have scored against Slovenia, got robbed.
Steve Cherundolo.
Steve Cherundolo, mayor of Hanover, on the roster.
Jada
Merritt. Watford, on the roster.
I'll go with his partner, Bocanegra.
Rise and grind. What is it? Rise and shine? Rise and shine and grind? Who did you say? You say Carlos Bocanegra? Carlos Bocanegra. Where was he playing for bonus points? Where was he playing at the time he got called into the 2010 World Cup?
Let's see. 2010. Let's see. How old would I be? Because he's the same age as me. So maybe 20. I'm gonna say he was at. Man, where'd he go after Fulham? I'm trying to remember where he went after Fulham.
I cannot
I think he right back to the States, didn't he? Or did he play for one more season out in Europe?
He cannot remember where he played.
I don't remember.
He played for Rennes in France.
Rennes. Yeah, I thought he did one more club after France.
Mr. Soup and Salad.
I'm gonna say
we're still early here. We should be going rapid fire, guys.
Well, this is where I might end up losing.
Oh, okay. Game theory is kicking in, maybe.
Now you got to start about substitutes a little bit too now.
Right.
So
But you guys haven't gotten through with the first 11 yet.
there's a couple left in the
I'm gonna say Josie
Altidore, absolutely. Villarreal at the time.
Rico Clark.
Rico Clark, yes. Yes, indeed.
That
Rico
was the
Clark.
6 I was trying to think of.
Where was Rico Clark playing at the time?
Man, I would say Dynamo, but I don't think so.
No, Eintracht Frankfurt at that point.
That would have been my guess was the Dynamo. So it's my turn?
Yes,
It is your turn. Big names on the board, boys and girls. Yeah. Big names on the board. You've only named one goalkeeper. I'm just going to point that out.
I know.
Okay.
I'm taking a guess.
A guess? What do you have to guess?
On the goalkeeper.
Oh, God. Okay.
Why am I drawing a blank on it? Freaking.
Don't draw a blank. That's not who he's trying to remember, though.
No?
You think he's trying to remember that guy?
That's a hard one to remember, I think. So that's why I think so.
I mean, that's Nick. Nick, you got so upset at me.
12 years ago, man. Come on.
I know. I understand that, but there's still there's some big names on this
You
list.
put me on the spot. Why can't I think of his freaking name?
You still thinking goalie?
I don't want to give you hints, but I kind of want to guide you in a direction.
Would you like me to go again?
No.
I'll go again if you like.
No. Damn it.
I tried
2010. I don't think.
Just pick a name of a player you think was around that era. Just a decent player who maybe could have made the World Cup team. Just go in that direction. Or better yet, think about players that Bob. Hold on, that Bob Bradley really liked. Just think about players.
Dang
Bob
it, that's
Bradley
my next
really
one. What are you
liked.
doing, dude?
He doesn't have that one either.
I hate myself right now.
I don't have the buzzer, so I can't buzz you.
Can
off.
I give you?
Hold on.
I can see him. I know who I'm talking about. He's the freaking goalkeeper for Atlanta United, and I cannot think of his name. I cannot.
Who you're thinking of.
Thank you, Brad Guzan. Thank you.
Okay, so we're just doing it. This is blown up now. It's over. Okay.
No,
he knew
I knew. I just could not think of his name. I kept thinking.
But that's not how quiz shows work.
I know.
On Jeopardy,
You're right.
when you're like, I know it, but I couldn't think of it. They're not like, here's your money.
All right,
All
I'm
I
gonna put
could
the
think was
pressure right
Friedel.
back on you, Nick.
All I could think of was Brad Friedel, and
I'm
I'm
putting
like,
the pressure
that's
right
the
back
other
on you,
wrong
Nick.
bald guy.
Okay,
ready?
come on, Nick. Come on.
Go,
Johnny
guys.
Bornstein.
Johnny Bornstein. That's the player I was talking about. Johnny Bornstein. Okay.
There's guys who have dropped from the show that I believe are on this roster.
There are guys who drops for the show that are on here.
Was
I think that's
Timmy
right.
Chandler on that roster? Probably not.
That's a Klinsmann person.
That is early. He was not on the roster, so that would be
That's my first
that would be the official end of the game at that
All right,
point.
so you want to see how many more I can try to get?
Yeah, let's see how many more you can
Let's
get.
see. Let's go with Robbie Finley ended up making that team.
Robbie Finley did make that team.
Eddie
Yes.
Johnson. No, wait. Hercules Gomez ended up making that team.
Hercules Gomez made that team. Oh no, I don't.
I can't
do I
remember if they
have
took one more because it was such a. I can't remember if they took Eddie Johnson or not, so I'm going to hold off on that right now.
Okay.
Man, Berhalter may have been on that team. Hold on. Who was the center backs for you? Hayduk didn't make it last minute, I think.
You're still missing some big names. I mean,
there's a couple of midfielders in there. I want to say Sasha Klestin.
Sasha Klestin was on this roster. I don't know if he
Stu
made
Holden got healthy in time for that, I think.
Stu Holden did make it when playing at Bolton at the time. Yep.
I'm going back and forth on whether that Mastroeni made that as a sub or not. I don't think he did. I'm going to hold off on that one. He didn't make that as a sub. Hayda got canceled. Got cut.
Cancel.
They can't
So I
say
think,
Hayduk.
what's hard for me is I'm trying to think of backup right back and backup center backs. I'm going to go with Berhalter.
No, Berhalter's
it.
not on this. No.
Dang it.
Now, can I kick in with the hints, or do you want me to
Yeah,
just
go
let
ahead.
you keep going? Okay, so
Oh,
the
what about Benny
goalkeeper,
Feilhaber?
Benny Feilhaber, yes.
Okay.
The goalkeeper that
Marcus
Jared and I were
Hanneman. Yeah.
communicating about was Marcus Hanneman.
Yeah,
He's on this list.
That was gonna be one of my guesses, but I went with the.
So
Who's on?
defenders you did not get: Clarence Goodson.
Clay Goodson.
No, I don't think he made the World Cup team, but he was on this 30-man. I think that's probably right. I don't remember Goodson being at the World Cup.
Goodson,
He
I think,
definitely
was the
didn't play.
only player who didn't play at the World Cup but was taken, if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
Chad Marshall went to this camp, did not make the World Cup team.
Wow.
Pretty sure. Gooch was on this team.
I was
I
gonna-
should have had that one.
Heath Pierce was on this 30-man roster.
Ah.
And Jonathan Spector, who's the other right back. You're looking for a backup right back? That'd be Johnny Spector. DeMarcus Beasley. Alejandro Bedoya was in this camp. I don't think he went to the World Cup. I think he went in 2014. He didn't go in 2010, but he was in this camp. Let's see. Mo, Benny, Stewart, Sasha. Robbie Rogers was in this camp.
Oh, yeah. As a midfielder.
And Jose Francisco Torres was in this camp. He did go. He was in the World
I
Cup.
couldn't remember if Michael Rusco-Fiscal was in that camp or not.
Michael Resco-Fiscal was not in this camp.
Okay.
The forwards were Josie, Buttle, Finley, Gomez, Eddie Johnson,
I was going back and forth. on that one.
and Brian Ching on this roster.
Oh, I thought
Didn't go
about
to the
Ching
World
when
Cup.
it was Nick's turn. I thought about Ching.
Did not go. All right, so a little impromptu roster fari on the United States.
Sorry, I didn't
United States
represent
soccer.
a little
Jesus
better.
Christ.
You did well,
Best
dude.
soccer show. Sorry.
You know what's funny is I actually, I don't know why I didn't just say Marcus Hahnemann because I knew that name.
Yeah.
I was like, as I was compiling my list while you were doing turns, but I kept I was like, no, I got to get Guzan first because it'd be weird if I went Hahnemann first over Guzan.
Yeah. People are remembering. People are remembering that a bunch of the guys that you wouldn't think did play in the World Cup. That Bob was tweaking. He was like messing around with that lineup quite a bit in that World Cup in 4 games. Right? He played 4 games there.
Yeah,
Opened up against England, then the game against Slovenia was the second
Slovenia
one, and
was
then
the
obviously
second one,
Algeria was the last game when Donovan scored. And then they
So
lost.
1-1,
it.
2-2, and then
that was
1-0.
bad
got
on, might be on Berhalter. He still played till 2011, but he wasn't playing anything.
He wasn't at that level
He
anymore.
was 1860 till 2009, though.
Yeah. All right, so that's the 2010 team. We're talking about the 2022 World Cup team, which 30-something days left, Jared, until we get until we go to the
Yeah,
World
what's
Cup. The
interesting
roster-
is that what's
Yeah.
interesting that is when we talked at the beginning of the European season about a month ago. The areas of concern were
Is it a month?
Yeah,
2
something
months?
like that.
2 months.
2 months, yeah.
2 months.
The areas of concern: striker, goalkeeper, center back was also kind of in there as well. But striker and goalkeeper was. Goalkeeper, I don't feel as nervous anymore. I think Matt Turner's getting a good start. The only thing that makes me nervous is who's he going to pick as a
Yeah,
starter.
who Berhalter? Like, let's just put that whole what is Berhalter thinking thing aside, right?
Turner
Like, we can't
showed
know.
well in the last 2 UEFA Cup games, and
Yeah. Man of the match
Stefan's playing at
against
least.
Bodo Glimt. Man of the match. Now, whether he was actually man of the match, I'm not
going
going
to front of you. You don't play the team
But
in
yeah,
front of you.
yes.
And then strikers are rounding into form. I mean, whether or not they're going to round into form at the
Well,
national team is one thing.
okay,
But we're 2 months
let's-
removed from the beginning of the season, and things look a lot better at the striker position club-wise than
No,
they
we
did
still
2 months
we
ago.
still have the potential of one of the strikers who we think is definitely going, also ending up with a month off or 3.5 weeks off, right? Because Dallas plays tomorrow night. We're recording on Sunday. They play tomorrow night on Monday night. If they get knocked out, then by Minnesota, then Jesus Ferreira sitting on the. And by the way, Paul Arriola is very much in the mix to make this team, and he would be sitting idle as well. I mean, that's got to be a concern in the same way that it's a concern that Walker Zimmerman's not going to play a game, Jared, right?
Yeah, it's definitely something with a striker, especially when it comes to striker, composure, confidence. Those are the type of things that obviously with strikers are a big deal. Hopefully, getting what is probably going to be is winning the Young Player of the Year award. I don't think it's been announced yet, has it? For Jesus Ferreira, but it's likely that he's going to get it.
Yeah.
Things like that should hopefully help with his confidence. But he is going to be at a disadvantage over guys like Josh Sargent and Ricardo Pepi and maybe Pifok. We're not sure what's going on with Pifok today after being removed from the game as an injury substitution. Limped off the field for Union Berlin today. So we'll have to see if PFOC is going to be okay for the World Cup or not.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he's in the mix, and I keep holding out hope that Berhalter's got some, like, I don't need to see him because I know what he does, but I'm definitely going to bring him as a plan B. That's the hope, and that he can be healthy. Again, we don't know. Timing is really crappy. Lots of players across the tournament getting hammered by injuries and poorly timed injuries, and guys that you would think would be potential stars at the World Cup, but aren't going to be ready fitness-wise.
What's interesting, and I said this to you before, is if Peacock gets injured, does Berhalter get let off the hook then? I mean, we'll never know, right? He could always say, "Yep, he was in the mix."
So
yeah.
let me do something slightly different than that, okay? Because I mean, I don't think Berhalter necessarily cares if he has an excuse not to bring Jordan Peacock or whatever. I don't think he really needs it, but I guess if it gives you some reasonable excuse for, he was hurt too late and blah, blah. There was a quote that came out last weekend, Jared, from Brandon Vasquez, who did an interview at MLSsoccer.com, and he said that he talked to Berhalter, and Berhalter told him it's too late to get you into this team. Keep working. We'll see you next cycle. And people got a little upset about that. Now, I think there's just a thing at work.
The thought of Berhalter might be around for another cycle? Is that what the thing is?
Well, that too. But I think we're that's interesting. That's interesting. I think we're all just anxious, right? And because there's no certainty, because there's nobody that is like we have seen bang in goals for the national team. So even if Jordan Peacock is on a great run at Union Berlin, even if Josh Sargent, who's not really playing center forward, but even if he's on a great run, and he scored again this weekend, right? And that was a good goal too. That was a goal scorer's goal, like a well taken goal.
Placed.
Even if those guys are scoring, we can't feel comfortable because we haven't seen them do it with the guys that are going to be key to this World Cup run. So we still have this doubt, right? So I don't know. Like at this point, is Brandon Vasquez really any type of answer? I think he's a good player. I don't think he's going to save us at the World Cup.
You know how many guys would have to get hurt before he would actually take Brandon Vasquez? Pivot gets hurt right now. Nothing changes. You still take Ferrer, Sargent, and Pepe. Let's say Sargent gets hurt. Sargent gets hurt. I still don't think you're taking Brandon Vasquez. I think you're taking Haji Wright.
Okay, maybe. I mean, again,
at least Haji Wright's been in a system at least once, and he has a lot of background with a lot of the marquee players of this generation.
By the way, shout out to everybody on Twitter, and including Taylor Twellman, and I saw a couple other people do this. Shout out to all the controversial take artists out there. As soon as that quote, I think Jonathan Sigel from MLSsoccer.com tweeted, as soon as it dropped on Twitter, everybody's like, well, but what if Mexico calls him up? Then you're gonna be like, I should have called up Brandon Vasquez. I mean, look, I don't think Vasquez is an answer. I don't think you call up a guy just because he might get called up by Mexico or has a shot maybe one day of playing for Mexico. Not for the World Cup, right? That's not the trade-off you make. The question is he good enough to help you right now? And I definitely think there's something to be said for like the system on some level, or at least familiarity with the players around you. Yeah. Right?
I mean, it's the same reason why isn't Chicharito getting called in for Mexico? I mean, at a certain point, 18 goals in MLS doesn't mean what it means in other places. I mean, there are obviously different points in their careers as well. If anything, Chicharito has more of a case, I think, because he's done it at that level before. But there is something about just sometimes coaches, if they haven't been brought into qualifying, they haven't seen them in their systems, they don't want to take a risk when it comes to the biggest stage, unless they just want to not have the media scrutiny and they want to waste a spot on keeping that at bay.
Max Bretos is saying that you can take 4 forwards, and it's okay, right? You got a 26-man roster.
With a 26-man roster, you can. Yeah, you definitely could, especially when you think that guys like Sargent could play.
Hold on. We just talked about an issue at center back, right? So you kind of feel like, maybe I need some extra cover at center back. Or I got some guys who are not in form, or not going to be sharp, or not going to be active ahead of the World Cup. Maybe I got to figure out who's going to be the right fit there. You definitely need to take cover at left back. I don't think you can get away with Jedi Robinson, Serginho Dest, and 2 other full right backs. Like, I don't think you can do that, right? So there are other spots on the field where it's not 100%. So I don't know.
Does he take someone? Does he keep going deeper and deeper in the center back pool, or does this make the case why he takes Reggie Cannon? Because Reggie Cannon does play center back from time to time at the club level. Like, at some point, you start asking yourself, do you pull Tim Riemann, or do you pull in, break emergency glass and get John Brooks, or you bring Reggie Cannon as your right back instead.
I think he's
someone
more
else.
like. I don't think that it's likely he'll play Cannon at center back, barring a shift
options.
to a. Well, yeah, barring a shift to a back three. Maybe not. Well, I'll get some notification. Barring a shift to a back three, I don't think Cannon plays center back. But having a versatile player makes sense at the World Cup, right? It's not that you want to do it, like you said. It's a break glass in case of emergency situation. It's kind of like, do we have anybody else?
And this is where Sargent has more viability than some of the other striker candidates because he can play out wide on the front line if you need him to.
Okay, so if there are 4 that go, who are the 4 that should go?
Oh, it gets simple when you talk about 4. It's Pifok.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sargent. It's Ferreira. And it's Pepe.
Okay, you think Pepe's done enough that it's worth having him there?
Berhalter owes Pepe.
He owes him.
I don't know. I feel like he thinks that he thinks Ricardo Pepe is still one of the talismanic guys for this team. I think he does a lot for him. I think he just has faith in him. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Berhalter seems to really, really be loyal to certain players. To a detriment.
Yeah, well, that gets you in trouble, right? I mean, that's the kind of thing that can have people down your throat because, well, is that player really at the same level as somebody else? Again, recency bias is a factor, like a huge factor here, and there's an argument that
and I'm okay with that as striker.
Sure, okay. There's an argument that playing well going into the World Cup matters, especially at a striker position. But there's also something to be said if you just score like 4 goals in the last 2 weeks before the World Cup, that's a small sample size. There's no guarantee that carries over in a completely different team with completely different guys providing your service, et cetera, right?
Let me ask you a question when we talk
except
about
for maybe in the case of Jordan Pifok, who was just a bulldozer, right? He's just a road grader kind of center forward, and that is the kind of center forward. It's the kind of center forward that Wrexham made sure to pick up in the winter transfer window last year. Ollie Palmer, right? I just watched their FA Cup qualifying game.
Great show.
This weekend with Ollie Palmer coming off the bench. So that's not the way the modern game is played at a certain level anymore. But to have that option off the bench makes sense.
You're talking about recency bias, and we're talking about there's not so much recency bias, but just in terms of the present and being accurate about where guys are in the present. Is there a certain amount of minutes that Gio needs to be getting at Dortmund before you even put a spot out there for him? Even if he's only getting 5-10 minutes at a time, and Dortmund doesn't seem to trust him to play more than that yet. Is he physically capable? You still take him.
You're talking about is there a chance
he's only taking 5 or 10 minutes a game? Let's say he's only getting 5 or 10 minutes a game over the next couple of weeks.
I know they're being careful with him right now again, but he's had some starts recently, and he hasn't. He did have a.
He hasn't
week.
any
I think
starts
he missed
since
a week.
he had his tweak with the national team.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying, is there a threshold that Gio Reyna has to meet before he's worth a full roster spot for the World Cup?
They've got the analytics, right? They're downloading the files from Dortmund, whatever his numbers are, and all that stuff. I don't know that information, but
10 minutes of Gio Reyna is worth more than, let's say, a fully healthy Paul Arriola.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that's what we're talking about. Maybe Paul Arriola, but we might be talking about Jordan Morris or someone else.
Again, we have to go through the list. How many midfielders are you taking, or how many wide forwards, wingers are you taking on a 26-man roster? Right. We know Pulisic's going to go. We know Aronson's going to go. We know Weah's going to go.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're getting into Reyna. You're talking about Arriola. What is that? I'm at 5, 6 already. So how many are you taking? If it comes down to a choice, do I take Gio Reyna, who maybe can give me 15, or I don't exactly know how much he can give me, and there's a chance he'll pull up with an injury as soon as I put him on the field, but he's a game-changing player, or do I take, another sort of try-hard winger? And I don't think Jordan Morris is a bad player. I don't think he's a national team get significant minutes at the World Cup player, right? But I know he's going to put the effort in. I know he's going to press to close out games.
I think that answer gets easier because it's a 26-man roster as well. You can take a luxury player. You can take a luxury player, a whim player.
But see, okay, can you take a luxury player if you call Gio that? Can you take Gio with his fitness issues and take 4 forwards, right? Because you're eating a spot now that could go to a Gio by calling in another forward. right?
You potentially can. It's hard to say. This is where the center back issue starts biting you in the butt. Because do you have to take more center backs right now than you normally would because no one is truly in form? And does that eat away at a spot up front? Or are we having a conversation about not taking Luca De La Torre because he's not playing?
Woo! Yeah, Jackie just said, I'm more worried about Luca De La Torre not playing than Gio. And that's fair, right? Luca doesn't have the track record. He's not, in terms of pure skill, we know he's not at that level. He does a lot of good things. And I think if he is confident and he's getting minutes and he's sharp and his fitness is there, like I would worry about his match fitness a little bit.
Yeah.
If he's not playing at all for Celta Vigo.
Is it likely that Luca De La Torre is going to start a game? Maybe if you get a red card to one of your main MMA players.
Look, you just had Yunus Musa out with an injury.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have cover. Now, you may I don't know if this is a worst case scenario, but this is certainly not the best case scenario either. If Berhalter, I think you still take De La Torre as long as he's fit, as long as he's healthy. I mean, I don't think it's ideal, but let's say you don't have him, or let's say you don't bring him because of that question of his playing time. We may end up with Kellen Acosta playing like two different roles in this tournament, depending on how things go. He's a backup at the 8 and he's a backup at the 6, and neither of them are great, right? You don't want Tyler Adams to go down. Right, and you certainly don't want Yunus Musa or Weston McKennie to go down. But if you lose them, you're turning to Kellen Acosta. Right? Who else are you turning to? Anybody?
Yeah, it's not much.
You're not dropping Gio into the midfield. You're not dropping Brendan Aronson in the midfield. I know people won't talk about that. It's not going to happen.
You could.
It's
you
not
have the
gonna
options though with both those players. You have the options too. You're not going to put them as a 6, but you could drop them in if you needed to into anywhere in that midfield. And
I guess you could if you play and we've been talking about the tactical tweaks and. I was reading Sam Stejskil's piece last week where he went through the player pool and he talked about, you can play if you have more of the ball, right? If you're expected to have more of the ball, if you're expecting the other team to sit back and make you come at them, playing a double pivot makes sense. Playing Musa deeper in order to pick the ball up in those spots, provide another outlet, especially if you're getting pressed, right? Because if you leave Tyler Adams all by himself and he's pressed and marked out of the game, what do those center backs do? We've seen that be a problem, right?
Yeah.
Walker Zimmerman and Aaron Long do not have the ability to figure things out if they don't have an option in midfield to play to, right? And you can only push your fullback so high before you're in major trouble if the ball comes back the other way, right? So if you drop a midfielder in, and obviously in MMA that'd be Musa, then you have another option there. Plus, we know what Musa can do with the ball at his feet, dribbling past players, right, and creating havoc in the attacking third of the field. Is there anybody else in this team that can step into that situation, and do that job, and you feel comfortable with that, right?
I mean, it depends on what role. This is where I just put up a chat comment on it just a little bit ago. This is where it's probably a detriment that Mihalovic never got a look. Because there's certain roles in the midfield that don't have as good of a change of pace option. It seems like you got a lot of the same kind of player. Kellen Acosta and Tyler Adams are probably maybe a little bit different, but in Musa and McKennie and De La Torre, you have a lot. They have very similar style of players in them. You don't think so? You don't think that?
I don't think Weston McKennie fits into that conversation. No.
How is he different
than Musa and De La Torre?
Yeah, the only thing I think Musa's different. If anything, I don't think
No, I think
honestly,
De La
watching
Torre,
Juve these days, I don't understand who McKennie is as a player.
Well, but McKennie's not. First of all, McKennie's not a player you want with the ball at his feet dribbling anywhere. You just don't want that. He's not. He's a disaster. He's a turnover waiting to happen. He's not even a great passer. What I'm saying
is you have a series of 8s. That's what I'm saying.
No, you have 8s, but they're going to play it differently. Okay.
What I'm saying is that you don't have the ability. You don't have the ability to change to a 10 for the last 20 minutes of a game. That's what I'm.
I see what you're saying.
Worried about.
Well, again, you don't have a classic 10 in an MMA setup if you want to shift to that, but you do have. Hold on, you do have a McKennie who can cause havoc, being in that space, drawing center backs out to come to him, making midfielders drop in order to close that gap between the lines, right? I'm not saying McKennie's going to be great on a half turn, picking his head up and putting a through ball in. We know he can't do that. But he can arrive in the box. If you're playing wide, if you're getting the ball out to Pulisic and Weah, then you can use Weston McKennie in an effective way from a deeper lying sort of forward position. I mean, it's
By the
not
way,
a false
that
nine.
Mihalovic guy I just told you about just assisted
Yes.
on the goal in the Montreal game. So
Yeah, they're
it's
ringing
almost
the
like
big
he's
bell
good. It's almost like
in
he's kind
Montreal.
of good.
I wish he had had a chance to get a shot.
Which
I mean,
one
I really
are you
do.
more depressed about not getting a shot, Mihalovic or Vasquez?
Mihalovic.
Me too.
I don't
There's no
think
player, I
Mihalovic.
don't think.
I don't think Mihalovic is a great fit for what Berhalter does, but I think he has I think he has a level in terms of his creative abilities.
But
that'd
what
be nice to have.
Berhalter doesn't make goals.
No, I'm
What
but
he
I'm not
does
arguing that right now.
doesn't
I
score
know.
goals.
I know, but I forget all that part. I think Mihalovic should have been in the. I think he.
Should have got a chance. And part of it was
I'm just
injury.
disappointed. I'm just
Part of it was
disappointed.
Berhalter
he didn't get a chance.
not valuing him at the time when he was healthy and scoring goals or assisting
That's
goals.
probably fair. But he got called in to the June camp. He would have had a chance to make an impact, and he just got hurt at the wrong time.
Yeah.
By the way,
I
he
guess
set
I don't
up.
think it should have waited to the June camp. That's my.
He
thing.
set up Ishmael Kone, who is like Canada's hot new thing.
Yeah.
He's he's a kid. They're about to sell him probably this offseason because he's already got European interest. And Vince from Toronto was in the chat earlier saying that what Herdman did was see that Kone was good and that he was already making a mark even a couple games into his career and put him in the team or gave him a shot. Where he's not doing that with other players. He mentioned John Tolkien specifically because Tolkien would be cover at left back because we don't have anybody that is not just defensively sound but dynamic going forward because Sam Vines can't do that.
It's hard when you got Sam Vines playing for a good team at Royal Antwerp overseas, and you've got Anthony Robinson. I don't fault him for not getting Tolkien in the mix at that point because you had established players.
He's what, 19, 20 years old? I get it.
Yeah.
I do. Well, I mean, but that's the thing. They're all 19 and 20. It's like, why not just throw another one on
You also
there?
have John Scally, who's playing left back in the Bundesliga at 19.
Yeah,
Are
on
you going to
occasion,
put Tolkien
sure.
in? Or are you going to? I mean, he's a natural left back at least. You can say that.
Tolkien is, yes.
Yes.
Scally is not. Absolutely not. Okay, we talked about playing time. I know I even told Nicholas Soup and Sausage before the show because earlier today it was like, so what are we going to talk about tonight? Nick puts our graphic together. Nick, can you throw up your graphic? Let's give a little love to and you're watching on video, you can see it obviously. The graphic is all MLS Cup playoff people. We have Sebastian Giroussi, who scored twice today for Austin. We have Chicharito Hernandez, who obviously helping lead the Galaxy to the next round, and Brandon Vasquez, who scored the dagger against the Red Bulls.
What do you think about?
No, hold on. Real quick. No national team players in the mix. I get it, right? Because what I told Nick is it feels like we're having the same show with the gap between the camp that we just had in September and the World Cup. What are we talking about? Just guys not playing.
It's unfortunate that we're not talking about Araujo as an American player this week.
Yeah, no, that was a ball. I mean, there was a couple of balls in that game that were like, oh, I see. I see.
Midway through the season, I was not a fan of Araujo. He's really turned it on the last couple months, and he's shown what he can do. I will feel bad for the kid if he doesn't get a call up for the World Cup because
I don't think he's.
I think he might be getting one for the U.S. if he was playing for the U.S.
Yeah, well, he made his choice. I mean, what I'm saying is like
right now, would you take Yedlin or would you take Araujo?
Oh, I'd take Araujo over Yedlin.
Over Cannon as well.
Yeah, probably. I can't say I've watched too much of Reggie Cannon play in Portugal.
Yeah,
right. And what I've seen with the national team, it's little bit of minutes here or there over the last couple of camps. It's not
good catch. I said John instead of Joe.
You did say John Scally? That's probably his dad. His dad's probably John Scally.
His dad's a hell of a player.
It's just Joe Scally, John Scally.
It was interesting though in that. When we were talking about the playoffs just now, is there anything that you've seen from the first 3 games that have been completed? Excuse me, is it 3 games or 4 games? 4th game's going right now. So 3 games have been completed. That makes you want to change your bracket pick so far. Like Traffico's coming up. Anything you saw in the LA game that makes you not want to take your pick, or with Cincinnati?
I don't think that MLS Cup playoff games inform each other at all. I don't think you can look and say, well, the Galaxy did
outside
this
of injury
against Nashville.
Yeah,
outside of a player missing. Correct. I mean, I have no idea what kind of game we're going to get out of LAFC. They could run you guys off the field, but they also could just be flat. They could also struggle to create chances. I mean, the thing today about Austin, who eventually won that game, is that especially after they went up a man, they couldn't find the goal. They kept. I think they were like, their expected goals was like 3+, and they couldn't find the goal into the 95th minute on the penalty kick, right? Who knows?
I really
It
thought
doesn't.
ourselves was going to pull away with that one. I thought they were going to get away with it. I mean, super late they left it. I mean, to give up 2 goals so early as well to RSL.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot. I was going to say in that LA game, this is what I was going to ask you earlier. How do you feel about goals getting called back so far back in the play? Like with the Chicharito goal. Getting pulled back. I mean, a foul on the other side of the field leading up through it. At some point, how far back does VAR go?
That I'm.
This is a philosophical question. It's
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I feel like it should be for offsides and things that happen in the box and red card review.
So
that kind of thing.
if a guy bulldozes somebody 45 yards from goal and picks up a turnover and the referee doesn't catch it or plays, continues play and a goal is scored, like 2 passes later. I'm not talking about like 17 passes. I'm talking about 2 passes later. Do you think that goal should come back? Like bulldoze. I'm talking about like it's a no-doubter foul. Not even like, okay, this is just a 50-50. Guy got bullied off the ball.
For me, the only time they should come back that far is if the foul was a red card, because that's a reviewable thing. If it was a red card offense happening off the ball and the player something like that to me is something.
This is the whole attacking phase of play. Like, when does that happen? How does that, when is it like, okay, now we're in the attacking phase? Oh, we were just in the passing the ball around the midfield phase. Now we're in the attacking phase.
It's just an interesting thing. And I'm not sure because I don't watch enough VAR in Europe. VAR, like, I don't know. Is that equally seen and called?
I don't think that there
leagues?
is. I don't think they're as aggressive with VAR. I don't know. All I know is that Leeds and Arsenal got delayed for like an hour because the communications didn't
40
work with
minutes
the
or something,
VARs.
And then
Something
in
like
the end
that.
played a huge role on the very end of that game where Leeds looked like they were going to get a penalty in the 92nd minute or something like that and a red card. And it comes back, because it's reviewed that Bamford actually fouled the guy before he kicked out at him.
Yeah.
I think it was the right call in the end.
By the way,
Leeds
look
look good in that game, man. They're not getting the results, but they look good in these games.
Well, I'm not necessarily worried about Jesse yet. There could be something coming if results don't pick up. I mean, they were better than Palace and they got beat. They were better than Arsenal and they got beat. And it's like, how much of that inability to finish those chances do you put on Jesse, right? Because they were better than Arsenal.
They need a striker in the winter, man. Bamford's not cutting it.
He came on and as a substitute in that game today, and helped them be better. But again, it wasn't good enough, and they didn't get the goal they needed. And they gave and by the way, what is that ball? What is that ball that leads to the Arsenal goal? Why are you switching
Rodrigo?
the field in your own defensive third, going backwards? What is that? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's a really unfortunate decision. I think it was by Rodrigo.
It was Rodrigo, yeah. Who you
that's what happens
otherwise
when
would
you get an
trust.
offensive player in the defensive end. That's what they do. Like they don't think the same way as a defender.
Yeah, and Bamford missed a penalty, right? That too. So it's
Both
rough.
you don't put those things on Jesse, though. I mean, you don't. But at the same point, like you said, at some point you got to have the points. To lose 1-0 on a missed penalty, I mean, against the league leaders.
League leaders. Say that really
the
fast. League leaders. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst result, but you could have beat the league leaders. You could have gotten points off them. So it's a tough one. And Jesse Marsh after the game, to his credit, the way his coaching style, he called out the Rodrigo play, but also said something really kind and positive about him at the same time. So he could have put his player out to dry, and taken the heat a bit.
Yeah. So one more. I mean, there's a couple of other games we could talk about. Premier League with American connections. Obviously, Christian Pulisic rooted to the bench, did not get off of it for Graham Potter today against Aston Villa. And
we thought it'd be different with Potter.
So, and I didn't watch a lot of that game. Well, Potter went ultra attacking in this game. Now, again, like the result is the result, right? And they gave up a goal to Mount early that really set up the Villa to struggle. They did create chances, though, right? So you can argue that Potter got it wrong on some level. Now, would that mean that Pulisic should be in the team and make them better? But again, the result is the result, and Mount scores twice, and Sterling is still Raheem Sterling. So what are you going to do if you're Christian Pulisic? Like, what can you do?
Ask for a loan, ask for a transfer.
But that's not happening until January. I'm talking about now. What can you do now?
There's nothing.
Nothing. You bust your ass in training. You continue to do that, and you hope that Potter gives you a chance. There's literally nothing left. He did do GQ though. Did you see that?
Oh,
he was
that's
in
what's
GQ?
important. He wrote
Yeah.
a book too. These are all
He wrote a
things that
book.
players should be doing
Yeah.
instead of concentrating
Yeah.
on their career. Maybe next time, don't write a book mid-career that's calling out your coach.
Hold on. He's not the first player to do something like that, and he definitely won't be the last. You really think that that's problematic? I'm curious. I'm asking honestly. You think it's problematic?
Hell yeah. And it also
Okay.
shows a lack of awareness. Like, in terms of what you're prioritizing. Why would you prioritize a mid-career book? What makes you think you are worthy of a mid-career book by what you've done so far?
Somebody came to you with a big check and said, "Hey, write a
Sure.
book."
In that case, don't complain about playing time because you've chosen what your priority is. You've chosen what your priority is. Because who's advising him to say,
Okay,
you
okay,
should
let
call
me-
out Stanley
No.
Tucci in the middle of this book.
I understand that, and look, I've said that before. I said it on the radio show. I've said
Who's
it here.
advising the kid?
I largely agree with you, right? Like, why rock the boat? But he wasn't rocking the boat for so long. At least we didn't think he was. Maybe there was some stuff behind the scenes. I know Papa Pulisic has been, pretty active on the socials, making some waves. But he was pretty quiet. He was pretty much, I'm going to stick it out here. I'm going to work really hard and try to get my chance. I'm not saying this was a wise thing to do necessarily, but there's some point where you feel like you're not going to get a look anyway. Why does it matter? Who cares? It's not going to fundamentally change the situation.
All I'm saying is that we've got what's supposed to be our star player not playing, sitting the bench.
What's
but has
supposed to be.
But has a book out, a GQ spread out. What's the priority here? Not to say you can't do both, but he's not doing both.
No, that's what you are. You're saying you can't do. Okay, so you're saying that if you're not getting significant
All I'm saying
minutes,
is you have
can't
two
do the other
separate
stuff.
coaches. Two separate coaches now have valued you equally based
Okay.
off what they have seen independently. It makes you wonder if he is committed or
Can I
distracted
say something?
in his job.
Okay. I think Pulisic wants to play. I think he's frustrated. He did ask to leave in the summer, and they didn't let him. Or I don't know if there was an offer that was good enough for Chelsea to really consider it. Okay, all of that's on the table. But then again, just coming back to like the person element of this and like what your longevity is as a famous enough soccer player to drive interest in a book and a GQ spread. If you don't do that stuff when it comes, and you look up and you're 35 and you didn't take any of those opportunities, wouldn't you be regretting? Even if you like, well, maybe it hurt my career, but I didn't even, if you don't do it when you have the chance, he could tear his ACL tomorrow, right? And it could be over for him. That's all I'm
He
saying.
could also burn his coach in a book and not play. That's a choice he made.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I just don't agree with it.
He did write a book in which he burned his coach. That book then dropped after his coach was fired, which he could not have known when he wrote the book or
if you're
provided
Potter,
the
are you wondering like,
information.
well, what's this dude's next book, or what's he saying behind the scenes, or what's he telling a publisher right now about what's happening in art? Do
Well,
you
okay,
feel like does it
sure.
feel like there's a mole in your locker room?
I mean, God damn it. This is elite soccer players with giant egos and terrible haircuts. This is par for the course. Like in terms of Christian Pulisic being a problem child or being a locker room cancer, he is so far away from being anywhere close. Now, again, some of those guys were locker room cancers and really good players and couldn't be taken off the team sheet because of how good they were. And maybe that's not Pulisic, right? And that's what you're saying. You have this thing about, well, he hasn't earned that haircut. He hasn't earned those tattoos. I know you have that thing. That's the conservative
When he scored the other
streak.
day and he put his tattoo over his head, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, you scored one goal and one chance, and I appreciate that you did, but do something that's going to ingratiate you with your coach and be humble and work.
Have
like
fun.
that's what I
Have
feel.
fun. Why not? Have fun. He gets one shot. He scores a goal. Why not enjoy that? You're going to tell the U.S. Women's national team not to score goals when they've got 12 on the board? You tell them not to score, not to celebrate, I mean? You tell them not to celebrate those goals when there's 12 on the board?
Those
against
players are doing
Thailand?
a lot more than Christian Pulisic is these days.
All right. I suppose that's fair. Can we celebrate, though, that Timmy Weah looks back, looks good back, and we can be excited about that, right?
Hashtag verticality, my friend.
Yeah. Is this the good one? Oh, baby! It's the bad one. I got to go find the good one.
No,
but
you
still.
got to find the Clint Dempsey's hitting him up. What?
Oh, is that on the? Let me see if I can find that on the
better
board.
be
I
on
think
the board.
It is. There it is.
Oh, here we go, saucing them up. Hit him, what?
Yeah, that's the Timmy Weah drop because that was Timmy Weah against Mexico that led Dempsey to go hit him, what, saucing him up. He's got to start. He's got to start. And I don't
agree.
know that there's a debate where, again, we're just filling time because we got nothing else to do right now. We're just waiting around for the World Cup. But he's got to start. I know Brendan Aronson adds this extra energetic level, and Brendan looked good in moments today. I don't think he had an overall great game. Looked good in moments today.
Yeah, he scored. He set up a couple of good chances.
And I know that Giovanni Reyna, and he had a good shot, like probably could have done a little bit better, had a shot saved. I know Giovanni Reyna is like a next-level talent.
Yep.
Right? And I really hope that he comes into that, and we don't have a question about who starts. But, man, the dynamic that Timmy Weah brings, the way he plays, it's about the way he plays, right?
Yep.
He has a quality of service, and he plays in a way that unbalances.
It
unbalances the other team because if you have two wing players cutting in, you give up all of that space on the outside, right? Now you're asking your fullbacks to use it, okay, maybe, and you're putting your center backs on an island.
Yep.
We need Timothy Weah to be out there doing that thing. And if you have Sergiño Dest, he can play the inside channel, right? He can cut inside and cause havoc as well. So he's got to start.
I agree with you. I think
Tim
Tim Weah is the best formational right side striker that we have. I mean, I understand that Gio Reyna plays there from time to time, and I understand that Gio Reyna is a better player than Tim Weah on his day. But Tim Weah is the right guy for the system that Berhalter's trying to play.
Tim Weah is not going to dribble five guys deep from midfield and create an opportunity. He's not going to do that.
But also, a player never should have to.
In tight quarters, right? You saw Gio in the Champions League when he got off the bench and little sauce,
Beautiful.
right? Yeah. I mean, we want that element, but I think unless you're going to play Gio on the left side, right? Which obviously Christian Pulisic is.
Listen, I'm going to say right now, U.S. fans, get ready. Gio Reyna's not going to be ready to start. He's not going to be ready to start.
No, I don't think it's a question.
So, get that out of your brain right now and think maybe somewhere along the way during the term, if they go far enough, he can start a game. But he's not going to be fit to start. I just don't think he will. Get used to Tim Weah and be happy with the fact that you have him.
Would you, again, the Brendan Aronson thing, I don't know. Berhalter could do it. It'd be a wrinkle. It would be weird based on what we've seen recently. He has played Brendan Aronson in midfield once or twice.
Yeah.
If Yunus Musa is not available, and Luca de la Torre hasn't played at all for Celta Vigo, are you lining Brendan Aronson up in that position?
Doesn't bother me. Doesn't
No?
bother me.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because
with Weston McKennie, because they're both going to play high, and they're absolutely leaving Tyler on an island.
I don't think you have a choice. Who's the other player? You can play Kellen Costa and Tyler Adams in a double pivot?
Yep, you could do that. You could do that.
I don't know. I think Tyler Adams plays well in double with Mark Rocca, but that's not Kellen Acosta. I know.
It's about a decently ball secure player who is a target, an option out of the back, right? Who obviously understands defensive responsibilities. I'm not saying that Kellen Acosta is Mark Rocca, but he is a passable player in that position if you were working to play a double pivot specifically because of those
passable.
things.
But I think what Brendan Aronson gives you is that work ethic that teams struggle to keep up with, that frenetic energy. And I get that he's not going to necessarily advance the ball quite the same way that Musa was, but Brendan Aronson's fast. If he gets the open space, he can run into it. He can get into that area. It's just a different kind of player.
Right. Yeah. By the way, this is a point about Pulisic's book. Late to the party before we're talking Pulisic. No one believes he wrote that stuff himself, right? It was ghostwritten, and the sensational stuff is there to sell books.
Congratulations.
My understanding is that he did interviews, and this is basically like just a long-form interview that they stuck with some pictures and called it a book, not by Christian Pulisic, but like there's another author. There's a guy credited. It's not ghostwritten. There's a credited guy that he worked with who's in the book or named in the book. All right.
Yeah, no one made him do it, though.
No one made it. You're right. Nobody could make you write a book in which you torture your manager. Tommy Tuchel. What'd you call it? What's his name? Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci. But here's the thing. He's trying to maximize exposure leading into the World Cup. I get it, man. This is his chance. This is his chance to become a household name.
He's probably
Landon Donovan.
He's probably pissed at Omar Gonzalez and Josie Altidore and all those guys who ruined his chance to go to the World Cup in 2018 and capitalize on all that momentum he had as this phenom American player at Dortmund as a teenager. He's probably pissed.
Do you think Landon Donovan at his height, do you think more Americans knew who Landon Donovan was or know who Christian Pulisic is now?
Oh, that's a very good I think after the 2010 goal, more Americans.
I think that's
Landon
the difference
Donovan.
maker. I think that's the difference maker. And so I think Pulisic sees that and like this is his chance to have that Landon Donovan moment, that Landon Donovan exposure, and maybe take that step up over him in terms of who Like I'm the guy now. But
Yeah,
you gotta,
maybe.
you got to do the job though.
All right. I think we can wrap this now. Any other business to get to? Nicholas Soup and Salad. Morgan was like here and gone and here and gone. I don't know what's
She was
going on
on a
with her.
layover in Miami, so she came in real quick.
Do you want to sing happy birthday to her or just say happy birthday to her?
I don't think
we
we
missed her
play
birthday.
the rights to that.
We can't? Oh, that's going to get us taken down on YouTube if we sing happy birthday.
birthday to
You know what? My kid, my 20-month-old kid, is
Well,
constantly
that's what we're
singing
doing
happy
now.
birthday.
It's still doing months at 20.
Until he gets to 2 years old, you do
Okay.
months.
Okay, I guess so.
I think that's
Is
the
that
way it
metric?
works. Yeah, that's what they use in Puerto Rico. They use metric, the metric system, months in metric. He sings happy birthday. He's constantly singing to me. My birthday was 2 weeks ago, and he's always singing happy birthday to me in 2 languages, which is nuts. The kid bounces back and forth between English and Spanish. It's incredible.
And
So, yeah,
my
let's
little
be
nephew's
bragging.
already doing Cantonese too.
Is he?
I feel like an underachiever with my children.
Absolutely,
They
you
can
should
barely read
be.
English.
It's time for them to start. Like, don't waste the opportunity when their brains are all malleable and mushy, and you can squeeze that language in there. Stick them in front of some Cantonese YouTube videos. You watch too much YouTube. Stick them in front of some YouTube videos. They'll pick it up. It just comes naturally.
They're too busy watching video game YouTube, so they're gonna get mashed up with that.
All right. Any other business then?
I think that's it, folks.
Okay. I do not know if we have a bonus coming anytime soon, but we like to do bonuses whenever possible. You can get those at patreon.com/thebestsoccershow, where you can also get access to our bestie Slack. I heard that Morgan ran into a bestie, probably just a listener, but a bestie in Philadelphia for the Premier League event. So shout out to her. I think that's where she said it happened. She said it
so.
earlier. Yeah,
so.
okay. Patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. Leave us a rating and a review, especially as we get closer to the World Cup. It'd be nice to have people saying, "Hey, this is a good show." If you like American soccer stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're very low energy tonight. What's happening?
Well, I
You're
thought you were
very
trying to rap.
distracted.
I'm trying to get out of your way.
No, I know. I just feel like in
Do you want
general
to start
the whole
new
show.
subjects right now?
I would say something, and you'd be like looking over here, like, what are you looking at? What's over there?
There's a window in front of me now. There's like weird lights going by at one point. I'm like, is there like people trick or treating out here?
I thought you were I thought you were going to say a UFO, and then we could definitely get into some of that.
I wish.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Again, check out the Patreon for all the bonus content to buy.
Michael freaking Oscar Fischel.
It was that. Oh, here we go. Saucing them up. Hit them. Wet.
Playing hot dogs and donuts with 2 fangirls in the locker room.
Go to DEF CON 2.
The horror show.
What are we doing?
The Sausage King of Chicago.
WNBC.
Damn, dog, that's an approach.
Oh, baby.
Jay Rodius.